Amazing Spider-Man issue number 28. This is part 3 of the story that has the Justice Warriors and the Injustice Warriors not sure whether or not they should be offended. Coming from the comic book character who's got Sony Pictures and Disney Studios, not sure who should own the rights. I've touched on this in like last week's video and the week before. Sony I'm thankful to Sony. Hold on, what? Sony, I thank you because of that $10 million that you gave Marvel. They were able to keep it alive, and Marvel is the thing that we have today. Y'all should have spent the 25 million and purchased all of the characters because I'm sure we wouldn't have this problem. I'm sure Kevin Feige would have climbed the ranks of that corporate pyramid, and he would be the main guy, whether you call him the producer or however you wanted to word it. I'm sure we'd still get the MCU the way things were, the way the things are, and we would have got it even sooner, and we would have had less obstacles. But we didn't get that, and that's not how things went down. We are here, and while I recognize Sony, I don't even want to say Team Disney. I'm just Team Marvel. Like whether Disney purchased Marvel or anybody purchased Marvel, Spider-Man belongs to Marvel. End of discussion. And if you and your studio are keeping him away from joining my movies in Marvel, our movies in Marvel, the movies in Marvel, then you are to blame in this situation. Um, like I said before, and this I don't say this lightly. I will not support a Sony Spider-Man movie from now on. I'll watch other Sony things. I'm not mad at Sony. I'm just trying to show that nothing you produce with Spider-Man will bring in the same amount of money because we're so upset. Forcing them to come to the decision, well, if this didn't happen when Spider-Man was part of the MCU, maybe we need to pick up the phone, make calls, and actually agree on some terms. So far, everything I've seen and everything that I know is Sony is acting like reckless idiots. They're the ones doing these leaks. The guy Mike, oh man, I forget his name, but the dude doing the Deadline article during the Sony leaks, it's known that he and Amy Pascal are Bati and Bench. They are close. Kevin Feige, when you're asking him questions at D23, he's just politically correct answers. It was such a blessing. I couldn't believe it could even happen that we got to share Spider-Man, 3 movies with the Avengers and 2 on his own, and I'm happy and grateful for that. He's not budging. Tom Holland, like these are all things that I know you've heard before. I would strongly recommend Comic Book University. He did a video about this. It went an hour. Like if you use the times 2 speed on YouTube, that's 45 minutes. I always watch my shit in times 2 speed. I value time. I hope if you learned anything from this talk that you learned to use that settings icon and go to 1.25 speed. Even for guys like me. Seriously, right now, I'll try to talk slower, but go to 1.25 speed and your brain will be able to get the knowledge of videos. Okay? All right, I'm talking about 1.25 speed when I should be talking about Spider-Man. This guy is like the heart of Marvel. We know from comic book land that he's got fucking 10 publications right now happening at the same time. He's in an event. Meanwhile, his friendly neighborhood, his grandma or his Aunt May has cancer. Like, he gets around, right? It should be the same way reflected in the movies. He should be on Disney Plus. Tom Holland should have a job for life. Look, the young man is in shape. He's like 23 years old right now. Let's pump out the Spider-Man now because unlike the other heroes, you do got to get his stories out while he's still young. He is like he's got 10 years of Marvel of the sliding timeline. 10 years ago is when he was bit. That's why in today's comic in Amazing Spider-Man 28, which I'll get to, he is the age that he is now. Therefore, pump these out now. Like Dr. Ock is gonna marry Aunt May or nah? Like, are we gonna do the proposal or nah? Like, we gotta actually decide which stories we have to capitalize on now because some of them won't be relevant. Anything past kind of college, no? Okay. Let's talk about this comic book. Starts off with Randy and Beetle. I guess Spider-Man's got super hearing now because he could hear through the glass. And she's chit-chatting with him. A very funny part was when Randy complains about his roommate to her. She's like, yeah, I thought you hated your roommate. No, not that one. Not Boomerang. It's the other guy. And Peter's like, wait, what? The humor. They always get me to laugh in these Spider-Man comic books. She is a villain, but she will not stay a villain. She'll actually have a turnaround because of something that Boomerang saw. What is in that paper that he showed her? What did he find underneath the city sewers that Kingpin got onto. Kingpin is a fucking villain. The way that he was talking to Spider-Man, like, oh, okay, man, Spider-Man has been brain possessed. He would want you to go hard on him. Go. And it's like, oh man, he of all the villains that Nick Spencer right now is falling in love with and making good guys, which he is doing. I'm calling this out. J. Jonah Jameson's good. Rhino was good. Boomerang is good. In here, we just saw the Sinister Syndicate turn good. In the Hunted storyline, all those villains grew a liking to Spider-Man because he was kind of leading the charge. Vulture, we still got some work to do on Adrian Toomes, but the rest of the villains are getting Kindred. Kindred is still a villain, but he's a new villain, right? So Kindred and fucking Kingpin right now are the guys I'm looking at. Some way, somehow. Oh, Venom's on his side. Carnage though is not, but Carnage is about to get killed after this event. I'm just calling it out now, man. I got that eye. I can see that we're gonna do like a story, maybe in issue 900, where all of the good guys in Spider-Man's comic actually stick up for him. Maybe the whole city will be against Peter Parker, and that'll happen. I'm just spitballing, but after that House of X Powers of 10 storyline that I kind of predicted correctly about the ninth light being the powers of 10, feeling good about myself, and I'm just gonna drop predictions here and there. 3 out of 10 is a Hall of Famer in baseball. So as long as I can keep that average. Kingpin, I talked about that. I talked about the Beetle. I think I talked about everything in my list. I only had like 5 notes. This was a good comic book. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. We closed the story out pretty nicely, but that mystery of what did Boomerang hide from Kingpin was enough to turn the Beetle, who's a double agent, back into into a good guy. Really curious to know what that is. That's great for me as a reader and as you as a reader. Thumbs up my video if you really like what I had to say. Didn't like what I had to say, don't dislike it because I don't want my ratio to be down. Because like when YouTube analyzes my account when I reach 1,000 subscribers and they decide to monetize me, I need to have a lot of green thumbs.